All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for showing up this morning. To officially welcome back Kelly Krauskopf as President of Basketball Business Operations for the Indiana Fever. We'll get started with an opening statement from Kelly, then move to questions in the room and on Zoom. As always, please raise your hand, and Mina will get a mic around to you. And please raise your hand on Zoom, and we will get to everybody as quickly as we can. Kelly, congratulations. Welcome back. Would you please tip us off this morning?
Thanks. Good to be here. Good to see some familiar faces. First of all, I just want to start by saying, anytime you're asked to return to a place that you helped build, you had a hand in building, it's special. So I certainly wasn't, thinking of this as an option at the point in my career where I am, but I'll say Mel Raines is a good recruiter. I'm going to have her help me with some free agents. So I'm really grateful to Mel, to Herb Simon, the Simon family, for trusting me to be the steward of the franchise again. I mean, this is a seminal moment in women's sports. It's a big opportunity to be a part of this rising tide that we're all experiencing. I think being a part of the first 18 years and building the franchise from the beginning gave me a lot of insight, institutional knowledge, 6 years on the NBA side, to be ready for this moment, to leverage all that experience, and certainly look at this as a new business. There's a huge amount of gratitude, I would say, to Lynn Dunn and to Allison Barber for everything that they did to kind of stabilize and get things pointed in the right direction as well. Those are some tough years. You don't get 2 number 1 picks in the draft by having a great team and great years. You go through some peaks and valleys. So I really feel like we're poised and we're set up for a great, successful next era of Fever basketball.
All right, thank you, Kelly. We'll start with questions in the room. Tony, we'll start us.
Kelly, you said you weren't, super sure that this would even be an option for you. When did this come together for you, and what was the process of getting you from Pacers back to here?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would talk to Lynn quite a bit. I would say she would text or call me all the time. I mean, being in management, going from coaching into management, and we had a lot of, how did you do this or how would you do that? And so there was a lot of conversation. Probably towards the end of the Fever season, we had a casual conversation. Allison had told her she was going to be leaving. And she said, hey, well, would you think about coming back and being serve as the leader and help us get pointed in the right direction and keep this thing going? And it wasn't something that I had to really think about it, because for me, the first 18 years about killed me. I mean, when you're trying to keep the business going and trying to keep the team moving in the right direction, I take a lot of pride in really how we operated and the success that we had. So I had to really, really think about it. But, we brought Lynn into the conversation and had a really good discussion about what would that look like. And then how would that leadership group look like? So it's great to be sitting here at this point and also being able to join with Amber Cox, who you guys will meet at some point.
Go Chloe, then we'll go Bob.
Yeah, just with your 6 years on the NBA side of things, just how did that give you a different perspective that you can now bring back to the Fever?
The NBA is such a mature league. I mean, there's so many great takeaways. I think, I went into it with eyes wide open. What can I learn from this experience? What can I add? But what can I also learn? I think, I'm a lifelong learner. I love the game. I mean, this is in my DNA. Everything about running a team, running a basketball program, if you will. It's really who I am. It's my passion. And I think being able to leverage that experience, being embedded with Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan in those daily meetings and talking about building the roster, it's very similar to what I did really for 18 years. The difference is the contracts are a lot bigger, the resources are a lot more, but there's so many things about running the team, putting together rosters that are really the exact same. So learning from them, everything from just the level of the business of the contracts, all of the ways that you can put teams together, those are things that I'm going to be ready for, because as we go into a new CBA or we go into potentially a new way to do business, I'm going to be ready for that.
Go Bob, then go Scott.
What elements does this team need to take that next step, and how does free agency enter into the equation?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that we have two foundational players, probably three. You get two rookies of the year in a row with a front court player in Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and then Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, I think that the veteran leadership that Kelsey was able to provide, we need to help her. We need to add to that. I spent a lot of years just trying to add experienced players around Tamika Catchings because it was really, veterans that have been in the foxhole and have been together. Those are ways that elements of success. It's not a magic bullet. There's not a quick fix, but I do think this team needs a little bit more experience, probably some more size. If you look at the teams that are in the playoffs right now, they're loaded with players who have been there.
We'll go Scott, then we got one on Zoom from Howard.
Kelly, we know you're big on culture. What do you want to reestablish with this franchise in terms of culture, and what have been some of the big picture observations that you've been able to evaluate over the last couple of weeks in particular?
Well, I have high expectations, and I have high expectations first of myself, and then I have that of our staff and of our team. So number one, this is a place where players can come and get better and be surrounded by an organization that supports you. They're going to have everything they need to be successful. So if you have the right DNA and you love the game and you love to compete, then you're going to be a great fit, with this team because we're about winning. I mean, this is a winning franchise. We've had constant success of winning and being in the playoffs. And, my plan is to return us to that level of consistency. And that takes commitment. That takes players that really are invested in being great players and being a great team.
Got one on Zoom from Howard Megdal, then we'll go back to Dave Calabro in the back. Howard, go ahead.
Kelly, welcome back. I have two, if I can. First one is just, you mentioned Amber, obviously, and you both have a significant amount of experience, not just on the business side, but on the basketball side. I'm sort of wondering how the rubber hits the road, what that looks like together. And the other is you talked about two, maybe three foundational players. I would imagine that third being Kelsey Mitchell. If you can just kind of take me through where and how you think that negotiation is likely to go.
Okay. Yeah. So, Kelsey, I'll start with Kelsey Mitchell. She was a player that was drafted in the last group that I was part of. So Pokey Chapman was our coach and GM. I went to see Kelsey play at USA Basketball in Santa Barbara at one of their workout camps, and I called Pokey and I said, "I'm watching our draft pick right now. I mean, she's going to be a star. This player. I mean, she's going to be a dynamic guard for us for years to come." So, we wouldn't be where we are today without Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, she's clearly a very foundational piece. She's got 7 years of being in and out of this building. She went through a lot. As we were preparing to be even better, as a better place to play, a new practice court, a new arena, all the remodels. I mean, Kelsey went through all of that, and she got better. She never put her head down. She kept playing hard and did everything she could. So she's extremely important to the success of the future. We intend to, have lots of conversations and make sure she knows that, but I think she does know that. And look, Amber and I, we're both, as general manager, she's going to be doing a lot of the day-to-day groundwork. For me, we're both going to be talking to agents. We're both going to be talking to the team. We'll be making those basketball decisions together, but, and certainly have our scouts out and making sure that we're covering what we need to cover. But looking forward to working with her. She's been a part of really building a lot of different teams. So she brings in varied experiences, knows a lot of people around the league, a lot of agents. So looking forward to working with her.
We'll go in the back row, Dave, then we'll go to Pat.
Welcome back. How do you build and sustain off of this Caitlin Clark buzz that we've been experiencing here? I mean, it's been a great year, but how do you make it even bigger and move on from this?
Yeah, I think that, we've seen that such a huge inflection of attention, and, her play, just the way she plays the game, I think that's going to be sustainable. There's clearly There's something about the way she plays the game, her passing, her shooting, that people really identify with. And our backcourt, I think, is probably going to be one of the best in the league between her and Kelsey. It's a dynamic duo right there. But I think we're going to work at it. We understand. I've been through this, not to this level, but we've had points where, incremental points where we've had, the tide lift a little bit and then go back down. So, we're going to work at making sure that we capture all the opportunities to make sure these fans are important to us, that we want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever. Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something. I mean, we have a real opportunity here. So I think that's a goal for the future. It's always about your players. I was raised by Donnie Walsh, and it's not about me, it's about our players. And I want to put them out front. These are dynamic women. They're tremendous people, and they're just tremendous basketball players. So we're going to look for, ways to continue to grow that.
Go Pat, then we go Angela in the back.
Kelly, wondering your big picture perspective as you think back to 2000 and getting this all off the ground, and then now what you are retaking over, and even what it can be in the future. Not many people have the experience and the perspective that you do, so I'm wondering, as you kind of look back at these key inflection points, both with the franchise and in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I used to tell our players, Caitlin Clark was 10 years old when we won our first championship. I say first because we're going to have another one at some point. But this is the moment where, there's generational, it takes a generation sometimes to kind of get to that next level. And I would tell our players, look, we're building this for someone else. We're building this for someone's 10-year-old daughter right now. Because, that's what you do. Is like, we wanted to just keep moving it forward, keep pushing it forward, and paying it forward. And I give Herb Simon and the Simon family all the credit in the world, because their legacy is rooted in really making sure that women's basketball is a part of Indiana and part of Indianapolis. Because there could have been years that he could have said, no, we're done. But I lived through it, and I know what kind of support we have, and we have it. And that's where, I feel empowered and very confident in the direction that we're going, because we have that level of support. Mel is our CEO. She's all in. Everybody in this company is all in. Everybody in this city is all in. And I think having that experience and gone through those days of, tough roads, everybody in the league has gone through it. And we're all bonded by what the possibilities are at this next level.
Go Angela, then we go back up front to Bob.
Kelly, right here in the back. You said that your first 18 years almost killed you. Well, what most excites you about the next 18 years maybe with the Fever here?
Oh, excuse me. I think just really, I used to joke around with our media relations guy that, I can't wait for the day that people are just talking about women's basketball, just the game. Did you see the game last night? And that excites me, because generationally, I knew we were going to get there. It was going to happen. Something was going to happen, and I always had faith and was optimistic that it was going to happen. I just didn't know if I was still going to be around to see it, and that excites me. What I love is seeing just the melting pot of fans in the stands, and certainly the continued aspirational piece behind what women provide. Because for me, being the only woman in a room in the NBA, was daunting. And but I knew what I was doing. I know basketball. I know how to put together teams. And I think that for me, I hope I can, be that for women as well, and for these players. And so that's exciting for me. And it's fun to see people turning out and talking about the Indiana Fever, talking about what Caitlin Clark did last night, or Aaliyah Boston. I mean, I feel like we've all sort of it's here. We can have that conversation, and I don't have to describe what the Fever is. I spent 10, 12 years, people go, what's that logo? What does that mean? And I'm like, what does Fever mean? But that's what you do. That's how you grow it.
Go Bob, then we go Scott.
Melissa came in after the exit interview, and she made it very clear that she was not happy with her role and she had a couple of posts on Instagram that sounded like farewell notes. What is her future here in Indiana?
Well, I think there's always players that probably end seasons that wish it would have gone better for them, or they have different views. I'm not going to tell you I know exactly what her future looks like. She's a part of our team right now, and she's an important part of the team. So she's a tremendous talent. She's was a big part of how the team got to where they got to this year. Obviously, I didn't see every single game, but look, we're going to evaluate everything and have those types of discussions with her and her agent. But I've done this long enough where not every player is happy at the end of the season, and you don't panic, you don't react, you just stay the course. And my job is to make sure we put the best team we can on the floor.
Go Scott, then we go Chloe.
Kelly, were you involved in exit interviews at all?
No, I talked to a couple of players, but no, I wanted the staff to kind of finish out the year because I wasn't with them all year.
Then to follow up, have you reached out to each player, or what is your plans in terms of?
Yes, my
relationship?
plan is to continue doing that. I met with a couple, and I'll continue reaching out and introducing myself. Meeting their agents and kind of getting reacquainted with everyone.
Go Chloe, then Tony.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned evaluating everything. Just kind of looking back on this season, last season, kind of from across the street, just how would you evaluate Christy's sides and kind of her performance as a first-time head coach so far?
Yeah. I mean, what a roller coaster ride for her. I was smart enough to know that the schedule was stacked against a young team early in the season, and the way that they weathered the storm, got into a groove, after the Olympic break. I mean, I think she finished 18-12, after those first 10 games, and then of course went 7-4 in the last 11, and 3 of those losses were against teams in the finals. So for a young team to make that kind of progress, I mean, it's hard to not be impressed. I think the outside noise, what she had to endure as a coach, and what they had to endure as a staff to keep that team focused and together. I mean, it takes time. It took a long time for teams that I've had to gel and to get together. I mean, years. It doesn't happen in 4 months. It takes a few years. So I was really impressed with the progress that they made and how, Christy is a resilient leader. She's a culture builder. I know just that she's got that kind of, stamina to stick to it and stick to her plan. And she's a good person and she's a great leader. And I was impressed with the way they finished.
Go Tony up front, then Adam in the back.
Kelly, the path from Lynn to Amber, how much was Lynn involved in that decision versus you? How did that kind of come to pass in your front office?
Well, Coach Dunn, and she was absolutely, we had her, we were in the conversation together. When Mel and I talked about sort of a leadership plan, obviously brought Lynn into the conversation, and she raised her hand. She's like, Chief, I'll do whatever you need for me to do, whatever I need to do to help. I think she's thrilled that there's a path of succession. There's a leadership group that we have set up to continue moving and create stability and consistency. Lynn is a lifer. I mean, she's a lifer fever. She's a lifer in this game, and she's a lifelong friend to me, and has been a mentor to me too. We've helped each other through all these years. The best years of my career, honestly, were working with her. And so I'm looking forward to her, as she calls it, her senior advisor role. She has so much knowledge and insight into needs of teams and rosters that we'll be leaning on her quite a bit.
Go Adam in the back.
Kelly, to be coming from the Pacers and Tyrese to now the Fever and inheriting Caitlin, the playoff success that the Pacers had, how applicable is, I guess, that blueprint for building around one playmaker to building around another playmaker to get the Fever to that next step in the postseason?
So much synergy, right? I mean, there's a lot of similarities. The good news is I do have a blueprint personally, because that's what I did around a player named Tamika Catchings. It was, rookie of the year herself, as well as, MVP. So I see so many similarities in Caitlin and Tyrese, primarily because they control the tempo of the game. And we want to play almost identical to the way the Pacers are playing, or maybe they want to play like we're playing. But either way, it's, finding those right fits around a point guard like her. is going to make us awfully dangerous. And I'm looking forward to that challenge because, you're looking for the right types of players that can play that style of basketball around her. And it's uncanny how similar they both are.
Anybody else? No? Bob, got one more? There you go.
Do you think that Caitlin can be a draw for free agents? And I admit I don't know the free agent situation in the WNBA, but are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her. She, much like Tyrese Halliburton, she gets you the ball in places that you didn't even know you were open because she passes to space, she finds openings and ways to free up other players. So, I look at just really how her and Kelsey work together and the efficiency of the offense because of the way that she plays the game. And I would think that would be a big draw. I plan on, I think it's an easy picture to paint, to free agents.